Hello, Hello, Mr. Fosudo. Yeah, I have a PS5 unit on its way. Can we make something work?
How's it going, guys? It's Sarah here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the PS5, and we're going to be playing games in 4K 60 FPS, all on this amazing 8K QLED Samsung TV. Shout out to Samsung for sending this TV out to the studio here. This is the Q800T 65-inch TV, which is super crazy, and we're going to be looking at all of that in this video. And I say we because I'm not alone. I'm here with...
How's it going, guys? Agbaji here.
And if you want to skip ahead to any section of this video for a feature or anything about the PS5, the Samsung TV, just check the description below for the timestamps to see different chapters of this video. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The first feature of the PS5 we're going to be talking about is the haptics. What do you think about the haptics?
To me, when I first checked out the videos on YouTube, I was like, okay, this can just be something like this overhyped kind of, vibration in the pad or something. And when I actually used it, it's like the pad itself is interacting with every single thing happening inside the game. So you can feel like footsteps, bumps, different little things that actually make a difference.
So when I was playing Spider-Man, I had this, when he was like bumping into the other character, the pad would vibrate. When the action character you're fighting steps on the ground, everything vibrates, and it has different kinds of vibrations. So there are so many things that just like happen in the scene of the game, and you feel different micro vibrations all through the pad as you hold it. So it's more immersive. So basically it's a more immersive gameplay in some sort or of some sort. So another feature that we found interesting with the triggers, I watched a couple of reviews on the PS5, and I saw them mentioning the triggers. I thought it would just be another gimmick, but when you actually press the L2 and R2 buttons, it feels like an actual trigger. Like there's a resistance, there's a force. Like you press it and you have to press it, and it is very deliberate. What do you think of the triggers?
When I review the DualSense controller on my channel, I was like, okay, it feels different from the actual DualShock 4, but once you get inside the game, it's an entire different thing. So it's like it varies in different parts of the game, and the game I actually expected to do well, the Spider-Man, they actually disappointed in a way, because for an exclusive, you expect them to take advantage of every single thing, but at the end of the day, you still get to feel that immersive experience.
Also, guys, on the subject of 8K, we have an 8K TV here in the studio. The PS5 will work with 8K TVs. However, it's not scaled up for 8K content. It says Sony is working on an update for 8K content or 8K gameplay on the PS5. 8K TVs are becoming more and more affordable now. We have this very, very affordable TV behind us. This TV is very affordable. It's just like 2.5 million naira. Yeah, very affordable. Anyway, and as I said, the PS5 is going to work with 8K TVs. However, you will be fine with a 4K TV that can play 120 FPS.
And speaking of 4K 120 FPS, the PS5 also supports PS4 games. That means you can actually play your PS4 titles on your PlayStation 5. But then you can either download or you can, use your CDs that you have available from the previous gen. But there are some limitations, of course. So number one, you cannot take advantage of the haptics and the adaptive triggers in the DualSense controller. Number two, your game is capped at 4K 30 or 4K 60, which is actually an improvement from the previous gen. Games like FIFA, games like God of War, you get an improvement from 4K 30 on the PS4 Pro to 4K 60, which is actually a big upgrade for hardcore gamers. There's a noticeable difference, and it just changes the game.
So one other feature of the PS5 pad itself is the Apart from the textured look, I really like the way the textured look is. There's huge detail on the PS5 and the pad itself. Another thing I also like about the PS5 controller, or the inbuilt mic itself, is of course there's an inbuilt mic, and when you press the mute button once, it mutes the microphone, or if you press and hold it, it mutes the entire controller. So that way, if you want to quickly manage something, let's say the noise is a bit too much for you, just press and hold it once without having to reach for a remote. Kind of like a first aid option, if you will. What do you think?
I mean, especially in Nigerian homes like this, you don't know who's calling you from where or from when. It's actually a good feature to have when you don't live alone, or even when you live alone. So you actually are aware of your surroundings at least once in a while.
Another thing I also like about the PlayStation 5, the user interface in general, coming from a design background, the interface is very, very smooth. When moving from icon to icon, navigating the menu, everything is just very, very smooth, very well presented. The carded layouts are nice. Using this 8K OLED TV, I saw how beautiful gaming can actually be, and even without gaming itself. So the UI was very nice. I saw all the details. I saw the deliberate effort, in terms of selecting menus or moving around menus as well. What do you think about the user interface and special features for the controls?
Okay, so right out of the box, if you get something like a 4K 120Hz display or an 8K 2.5 million naira 60Hz display, so right out of the box, the PlayStation 5 can only give you a maximum of 4K 60 as the output, which is actually a very fluid interface, and it's actually very, very convenient and very pleasing to look at. I mean, besides was going through the menu over and over again, and it's impressive.
When you changed the PS5 Spider-Man game from, I think it was 4K 30 to 4K 60 FPS, although there were some drawbacks. What were the drawbacks?
So they disabled the ray tracing and some VFX.
So you're going to obviously have some compromises. However, the gameplay was very, very smooth. I had to drop all what I was doing and just watch the glorious 4K 60 FPS gameplay. And it seems like it's not glorious per se, but gaming on an 8K OLED TV is just a different flex, I won't lie. Another thing I found very fascinating as well is the management of your gaming experience. When you are using a smart TV, obviously you can move to like Netflix, to YouTube, Amazon Prime. I noticed that the PS5 pad, you can press the PS button, and whether you're in Netflix or YouTube or wherever, it actually comes back to your game console. And even on this 8K OLED TV, there are 4 HDMI ports. On the back, there's a HDMI 2.1 port, which is the only HDMI 2.1 port out of 4 that has a game icon. Once you press the button, you can actually go back to your gaming experience.
Yeah, and I noticed that once we plugged it up, we didn't even know it was an HDMI 2.1 port, but once we plugged it up, it came up as a gaming console. Like a gaming console has been connected. Do you want to proceed and stuff like that? And that's actually something very impressive to see on the Samsung Qled TV.
And essentially, I like the fact that the games resume when you want them to resume. We had like a long streak of Netflix, we had a long streak of YouTube. We watched some 8K YouTube content that was actually 8K and was annoyingly sharp. I was concerned for my data, by the way. And we did all of that and came back, and we were still able to continue from the exact moment on the PS5. So the fact that that's managed way better is just cool to see.
And I think that's one of the perks of having an SSD inside this next gen console.
So this is a 1 terabyte.
It's a 1 terabyte SSD, and you still have an option to get external storage, an external SSD, but then it will prompt you to only download your PS4 games on that drive. So you have enough space to get your PS5 games in your console. Another very interesting feature on the PlayStation 5 is the ability to preset certain settings on different games you get on this guy. So like your difficulty, your resolution, subtitles, your first person, sensitivity, you actually have the option to set them down in your console settings. So once you boot up a new game, you don't actually have to go through the stress of setting those from the beginning.
So one of the small but notable changes on the PS5 pad is the new create button, which replaces the share button, and this is obviously because it's encompassing more things under its umbrella.
So by default, pressing the create button once will take a screenshot of whatever it is on your screen, and you can also map it to do 3 different things: tapping it once, holding it down, and double tapping it. And you can actually set it to either take a screenshot, start a broadcast, or record a video. And you can also record video internally at 1080p and 4K.
Yeah, I think I read something about 1080p and 4K being the major native supported resolutions. 1440p is not fully supported. It's more or less like scaled up to be supported to that point. Other small things I didn't really like I said, is the fact that some PS4 things can't work on the PS5. The controller especially, you can't really play PS5 games with the PS4. Well, it's not weird. I mean, they have to sell the new PS5, so yeah. I actually think that Sony did a very good job with the PS5. The PS5 couldn't have asked for a much more better upgrade. Maybe the design is a bit edgy. Maybe the design is a little bit out there. It's not exactly your typical console.
Exactly.
However, it does the job. It introduced a lot of new features that people wouldn't have thought would even exist in the first place, which is a good sign. And we can see a lot of obvious improvements. For one, I'm a person that loves design and user interfaces, and the user interface here is way better. It's just easier to navigate, and it's something that I would actually enjoy using. So I would say that I don't want to change anything per se. Thank you for the PS5, really, and I think it's a good console.
For me, it's going to be the game updates on this thing. So you're looking at an average of 50 gig
I didn't know that.
download for a game, and that wouldn't normally be a problem. But I mean, considering in this part of the world where internet is not really our strong suit, and it's something that really bothers. I mean, imagine downloading Call of Duty of 200 gig for 2 weeks straight. They're really ideal.
So out of all the features we've mentioned, which one was the one that stood out to you the most? Let's know in the comment section below. Also guys, if you have any more questions, I don't think we covered as much as we would have loved to cover in this video on the PS5. However, you can just drop a comment below. We'll try to answer you with any questions.